Welcome to the Recruitment Playbook. As usual, I've got a guest with me today, and today it's Dale, who works with us at We Do Group.
Hi George, right?
Yeah, good. How's your week been? What have you been up to?
It's been great. Had a first We Do workshop this morning, so it's great to see sort of 20, 30 finance leaders in the office with us. It was great fun.
What was the topic of discussion?
It was all about helping you with your search, really. So like how to work better with recruiters, how to optimise your CV, LinkedIn, just trying to give them a bit of value add. It was great.
Awesome.
Really nice.
Really, really good fun. First of a series we're doing, so hopefully people can come and see a few more of them. So let's get straight into it. Market update. Obviously, not a lot of time has passed, so the market as a whole is quite similar to where it has been.
Yep.
You made some good comments. What are your observations on what we're seeing?
Yeah, I think it's just, I guess there's a real trend of being quite sector specific.
Yep.
I'd say that's the big trend that is proving a little bit difficult sometimes for candidates. So there's a bit of frustration out there on that. But businesses are just trying to focus on people who know their market and can add value quicker, probably. So that's just the main quirk we're seeing a lot of at the minute, I think.
So golden rule, go back 10, 15 years when you and I started in recruitment, people would go, it's really hard to break into financial services.
Yep.
It's really hard to break out of it.
Yep.
Same goes for charity. And
Yep.
weirdly, the same goes for manufacturing, I would say.
Yeah.
Most other sectors tend to be relatively interchangeable.
I think there was always like an element of flexibility you could move between them. It's always been tougher the more senior you are, right?
Yep.
So we all know that. But it just feels like that's gone up a level post-COVID now. It is a prerequisite on a lot of specs.
Why do you think that is?
I just think that the hiring decision there is a bit more conservative and there's a bit more pressure and volatility maybe out there. The board, the CEO, the owner, the investors kind of want to, if they're going to invest in a senior hire, they want them to be able to hit the ground running quickly and add value quickly. And the easiest way you can sort of suggest that will happen is by saying, well, they know our industry already.
Yeah.
Maybe they bring a little black book of connections, contacts. It's a pretty natural thing for them to do, but it does make it a little bit tougher.
Do you think it's anything to do with candidate competition, just the number of people available at the moment, or is it more client driven?
I think that there's a lot of people out there at senior levels.
Mm-hmm.
There's always been that challenge. There's the pyramid gets narrower in terms of volume of jobs, but it actually gets wider in terms of number of candidates. So I don't think that's a true factor of why businesses won't be more flexible when hiring. I think it is just a pure reaction to we need somebody who's going to make an impact. That feels like a safer way for us to do that.
I completely agree with everything you said, by the way, and we're seeing the same thing on the interim side as you are on the perm side.
Yeah.
That actually, if there is one more thing we can do to give reassurance in this individual coming in, then sector's a really nice way to do it.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously with an interim, you've got to land quickly, right?
Yeah.
That's the key. So it's probably like the perm hire, but turned up to 100. Basically. So, yeah, I can see exactly why you'd want it from an interim side of things.
Absolutely. So, look, one of the reasons we've got you on in particular is because you're really big on investment-backed businesses, so be it PE, be it VC, whatever that looks like.
Yep.
So can you give us a bit of an overall market update?
Yeah, so I really like working with those sort of businesses because they're generally, it's more of a trying to get something done as a business. There's kind of an exit pathway, so there tend to be a little bit more corporate maybe sometimes than a founder-led. Equally founder-led is pretty fun as well, but it just depends on the environment. It's been a really challenging time in that market. Obviously we had COVID, which I know is a while back now, but that changed a lot of consumer habits. There were lots of businesses pre-COVID that were safe as houses, great investments. Some of them have really struggled either immediately during and post, or maybe they did really well during and now they're having a problem post. Like a case in point would be the big parking companies.
Yep.
They were a safe as houses investment. You could literally open new parking sites left, right and centre, people commuting every single day of the week. Post-COVID, during completely disappeared, post-COVID hasn't really come back in the same way. So that's caused some challenges for some of the investments that are mid-cycle. And at the same time, there is a lot of pent-up investment demand in the equity markets. So they're sat on a fair bit of dry powder. There's some big numbers out there. If you read the financial press, numbers like $3 trillion and things like that, that allegedly the equity markets are sat on, waiting to deploy. But because of interest rates being so high, there's a big challenge with debt leveraging, and actually being able to get the right multiples then to drive an exit for that business. So all of that volatility combined has made it a bit slower over the last sort of year or two. But I speak to quite a few kind of investment directors in that sort of space. I know a few from my kind of previous career in the Big Four that have kind of transitioned into that world. And the general consensus is that it's still going to be a bit volatile, but hopefully probably half two onwards, there'll be a bit more kind of investment activity. And there does come a point when the funds will need to deploy their funds. But what we're probably seeing more of at the minute is mid-cycle leadership change. And that's a really different job, particularly as a CFO or an FD or a number two, to a start of investment cycle hire, because if it's mid-cycle, the business may be in a challenging position and under more pressure for the exit. So that's a little bit more like a turnaround type role, not necessarily a full turnaround, but it might be more, it will feel more like that. Whereas a fresh investment is often a blank sheet of paper, and there's a lot more time to play with from that side. So again, that all like feeds back into that conservative hiring, right? Because if you've only got a 2-year exit timeline and you're bringing in a CFO to deliver that, they haven't got time to learn the sector. Absolutely. It's almost like a perm interim hire.
Yep.
So that sort of, drives some of those decisions.
So one of the questions I always get asked most from candidates who haven't worked in a PE-backed business before is, how do I break into that space? And it almost feels like you bolt PE onto the sector thing. So it could be a manufacturing company, PE-backed, and it's like, I need manufacturing and I need the PE experience now. So if I haven't got the PE stuff already, or haven't got a VC-backed business on my CV, how do I make that first transition? Any top tips?
I think it depends on where you're at in your career, massively. If you're already at number one CFO level, it's going to be tough. And actually, I'd probably recommend to that sort of person, you might do better off actually aiming for like a founder-led business that's on a path to an exit that might be to PE, because you'll get an exit under your belt and you'll get to work with a full DD process and potentially an investment group that are looking at acquiring you. So you'll start to get the contacts around the advisors, the professional advisors, the law firms, the kind of guys who are going to come in and do the valuation piece, and also go and talk to the investors, right? So you understand how to work at that level. Whereas if you're maybe more at a number two level, it's probably a little bit easier to make that move in, because they're probably less worried about you having all of those contacts and that experience already. So if you're at that kind of number two level, it is probably, there's a sector element. There's also an element around, if you've got experience of bolting in acquisitions, for instance, like you could then leverage that for going into a buy and build private equity investment, where they're looking to bolt in acquisitions to grow it into a group. So it's trying to leverage certain skills you might have had previously and highlighting them more to kind of make a move into that market.
I guess like anything, and this sounds so simple, but the earlier you can start breaking into that space, the better.
100%.
So it's like if you knew you wanted to be an accountant from the age of 4, you go to university and you study accounting and business, and then you go and you do your ACA qualification and whatever. Are you saying, I guess, if people want to break into that space, start trying to get into the PE world as early as you can?
I would recommend it, I think if you're kind of post-qualified, looking at, say you're in an FC role, that's probably an optimum time, or an FP and a senior FP&A role. And that's probably an optimum time to be starting to think, what do I want in 5-7 years' time? If that job is an equity CFO job, you need to move probably now and be really proactive and make a targeted search to do that. And you might have to sacrifice other things in your job search potentially to achieve that.
Cool. How important is that move?
Absolutely. What's the priority? And it sometimes can feel, I speak to a lot of people who, they're 5 years post qualified maybe, and they're sort of like, I don't know if I'm not sure if I know really if I'm going to be a CFO or not. The people that I've always worked with that have got to that level in private equity have a very clear vision generally that that's the path they want to take, and they will drive to get there. Awesome. So that's something you've got to think about. Is it for you?
Amazing. So crystal ball moment. You've got the magic ball in front of you. What market's getting invested in the next 3, 6, 12 months?
The golden goose is still tech.
Yeah.
Anything with, and particularly SaaS. The PE and investment market likes recurring revenue. that is the, if you've got a tied in customer base, an annual or monthly recurring revenue figure, that attracts the biggest multiples, the biggest exit valuations, and that is a safer investment for them. So tech and that world will continue to be the biggest one overall. There's some businesses that are not in favour massively. So biotech, anywhere where there's heavy kind of capital investment early on and not always a guaranteed return, there's less appetite for them. It's just too high risk. And then also if you're adding in maybe a debt leverage that's at high interest rates at the minute, that makes it really hard to make a business case and investment case for it. The other areas we're seeing probably a bit more activity in is where there's a very dispersed kind of market, a very broken up market. So any industries where there's still a lot of kind of independent family run businesses running regionally or like in a local town. So where there's an easy buy and build and you can go and hoover up 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 businesses a quarter, bolt them in and immediately grow your revenue and your bottom line by just bolting in existing businesses with an existing client base. So they tend to be a little bit more traditional kind of businesses, so normal business services, I'd say, usually business to business, sometimes some business to consumer, but largely sort of business to business, nuts and bolts services type businesses. They're probably the most common at the minute. But realistically, most organisations are on the radar. It's just every business and every equity and investor has a slightly different focus on where they're at and also what their risk appetite is.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, they're the big ones, I'd say.
I think it's really, really good tips there. Any more you want to say on that point?
No, I don't think so. No, I think that's,
I've covered most of it.
It's really hard to be too specific because every fund, every investor is different and they all have a different focus. I'm probably talking more mid cap, small cap. Obviously if you go into the large cap PE world, it's more like just traditional corporate businesses, billion-dollar businesses already. So there's a real big variation between them. But as a general kind of overview, that's all right.
So advice.
Yeah.
We said this week we're going to help people how they manage their recruiters.
Okay.
So what irks you?
What irks me?
As a recruiter, I'm a candidate. Yeah. I've managed to get on your bad side without having met you. What have I done?
I hate a PDF CV. Oh my God. If I had £1 for every time I've had to go and edit a PDF CV, I'd be so rich. They like a PDF CV with like loads of boxes, colours, just fills me with dread.
I almost feel sorry for the person sending it. And the reason I say that is PDFs have this vision of being more professional.
Yep.
Somebody's put loads of time in a fancy design package to add their photo, change the fonts, change the colours, put some pretty borders in, make it look really nice. Yeah. But my view on that is you're not going for a graphic design job.
Yeah. And you do love a shiny, nice, colourful spreadsheet.
I love a colourful spreadsheet. I should have been an accountant.
Yeah, you should, yeah.
But I want a black and white CV, no text boxes. Just tell me what you did, how you did it, what impact did you have. Like real basic old school stuff.
Yeah.
So no PDFs. Should I send it in Word, in Pages, in .txt?
Oh, God. You're getting a bit too technical. You are head of IT. But I just go pure Word.
Yep.
I do understand some people's concern is more about the control of their CV there, though. The PDF is locked. You can't easily edit it or as easily. The reality is, though, that most of our client base prefer it in Word.
Yeah.
And it's just more consistent to have it in Word. And it's also easier for us to help you then adjust it quickly and make any quick amendments. If we need to add in something you've omitted off your general CV to get you over into a shortlist that's going later on today, it's much easier for us to get on the phone with you and work through that and just do it live than have to send it to you. You're in a meetings all afternoon. We're waiting for you to send it tonight. You might miss out on going over in a shortlist, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it's just about having that flexibility. And realistically, in the current climate, you probably need to have a CV that's easily editable. Yeah. Because each role you might need to tweak just to give you the best chance.
So we ran the first of the We Do workshops this morning, and that was a point that came out kind of time and time again. The other thing people kept asking us was, I can't get hold of a recruiter.
Yeah,
I'm perfect for this job, but I can't seem to contact the person, so I'm never going to make the shortlist.
Yeah.
What's your take? How does someone get hold of Dale if you're busy?
Yeah. So I really like little LinkedIn messages.
Yep.
I have no issue with someone texting me.
Yep.
Like
WhatsApp came up this morning.
WhatsApp, yeah. I mean, WhatsApp's probably even better, really, because it's just a little bit more intuitive and a little bit more real time.
Yeah.
To be honest, the reality is, as a recruiter, is I'll spend quite a bit of my day on Teams calls.
Yep.
Some of my day I could be out.
Yep.
Traveling somewhere, so I'm on the road, or I'm on a train, or I'm in a meeting physically. I can't come back to you. And a lot of the time, the flip side of that is you are managing your day job while looking for a job. So if you call me, then I call you, then we don't speak to each other because I was in a meeting, then you're in a meeting. Send me a WhatsApp. I can send you a WhatsApp. If you're on a Teams call, you can check the WhatsApp. If it's not one you're heavily involved in, you can send me a message back. And actually, we set up a time to speak if it's relevant. So that's a really good route. The one thing I would say is just like try and keep it concise. I'm getting a lot of AI LinkedIn messages now where someone's done click the AI message to be written for you. If you haven't got the time to actually say, hi, give me a relevant message, it's pretty hard for me to prioritise a reply to that.
This didn't actually come up this morning. It came into my head. I don't know if people have ever seen what we get on that side. But we get a message that says, hi, I'm interested in group financial control job you're recruiting. And then it's a templated message underneath. If I get 150 of them, there's no way to distinguish you from the next person.
100%.
Send me a personalised 2-line email. Hi, George. Hi, Dale. I've seen this job. This is my skill set. This is what you highlighted on the job description is important. Here's my number. Phone me. Make it as easy as possible.
What I ideally want to know is you've actually read the job spec. So it's going to be relevant, not you've sent your CV into every single job with the same job title within a 50-mile radius. Like we understand people are looking for a job and some people are under more pressure than others with that. I totally get it. But we are getting a lot of inbound that we have to manage time when we're also trying to find people jobs, managing recruitment processes, film podcasts. There's lots going on in the day job. So you're better off trying to get that initial message that way. Also means if you send me a LinkedIn message, if we don't happen to be connected already, like I'm likely to at least look at you, connect with you, and then hopefully come back to you, even if it's to say, look, unfortunately, you're not right. At least you get some closure, but we can then stay connected for the future as well.
Yeah, 100%. What kind of an impact does it have when candidate keeps popping up in your inbox for jobs that on the face of it feel like they're quite different? So obvious example, candidate applies for FP&A job, controller job, FD job, accounts assistant job. And we see that the same people apply for all of those jobs. What does that do for you as a recruiter, like your opinion of that person?
I think the issue you have with that is as a recruiter, you start to look at it and go, what do they actually do? Because there's no real person that could do all of those jobs, like as a full-time job. And I know a lot of finance people will say, yeah, but I do all of those elements in my day jobs. But it becomes unmanageable as a recruiter to kind of cover all of that ground with someone. So you start to then devalue yourself and your skill set because you do have a role and experience level that will make you relevant in the market. But if you're a qualified accountant, no one's hiring you to be an accounts assistant.
Absolutely,
No matter how much you might be happy, it's really hard. You would need to send me a message there saying, I am a qualified accountant, but I don't want to be doing that level of work anymore. But then equally, then why would you be applying for an FP&A manager? So I think the tendency can be that I'm not getting much contact back, so I'll just broaden and send something to everything. Actually, you're probably off better being a bit more targeted and just really focusing on what do I want to do? What am I actually good at doing? And I'm going to focus in on those roles, but spend a bit more time trying to get in front of the right people for those roles.
So be brief, be targeted, do the right things well.
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome. Let's do some quick fire questions.
Yeah, cool.
We need some quick fire questions. Our production team have left and now come back into the room. We know you guys don't think finance is fun.
I'm sure whatever you said was super engaging.
Thanks.
It was reasonable.
Quote of the day from Charlie. It was reasonable. So Dale, James wants to know, should I apply for a job if over 100 people have applied on LinkedIn?
Yes, if it's a relevant job and you have the right skills and you're interested in it, ignore the numbers. I get asked this a lot by lots of different people. They feel like, well, if I'm just one of 150, what's the point? The average FD job in the southeast of England will have 300 plus applicants. Of those people, we will even probably long list, if we're lucky, 40. So you're looking at 10% at best are relevant and specific, and probably over 50% are completely irrelevant. So don't be put off by it. There's also questionable. We're not, no one will really say exactly, but there is anecdotal evidence that not every single one of those applicants has finished their application. So they've clicked apply, they've been logged as an application. Doesn't mean they actually finished the application process. So you're never quite sure actually how many are received.
And know that it will be reviewed by the recruiter.
Yeah, absolutely. How much do you actually care about helping people out with their career?
That's always a fun one to answer, because as recruiters, people, I think we have this perception of just being money hungry, commission chasing people. But I think the longer you do this job, the more you actually build a rapport with your network. And we like to think of network as people, not candidates, not clients. And actually seeing people transition through that and supporting them multiple times, that's why I personally get a real sense out of it.
Yeah.
So I say, yeah, I think we genuinely do care. Alex wants to know, how should I upload my CV? In what format to get the best bang for my buck?
Cool. It's a bit of a two-part answer. I know we sort of already talked about PDF and my personal hatred for PDF CVs. However, if you're applying directly to a company, not a recruiter, quite often they actually ask for a PDF. So there's no harm in having a PDF or knowing how to get it into PDF and having a PDF version. I'm pretty certain, and I would think I speak for most recruiters when I say, if you're applying to a recruiter, get it in Word, keep it plain, don't have a picture, and don't have a 400-word opening statement giving us your life story.
Word art?
No word art.
No
text boxes.
Perfect.
No colours. Keep it plain, simple. Focus your time on the value of the actual content of your CV.
Would you use templates in Word?
So templates in Word, some of them actually look really nice. There's one with a blue line that I see an awful lot.
Yeah.
The problem I get with them is they're not original anymore. And
Yeah.
I want to see how you present information. So my thought on a CV is, as a senior finance person, you have to present information to whoever that may be.
Yeah.
This is the first opportunity me and the client can see how you do that. If you're going to use a generic template, it marks you down a point or two. At least if you pick the one with the blue line, it's quite nice.
So we get this one quite a lot from senior level finance professionals. So they've been in finance now 25 years. How long should their CV be and how far should they go back on it when they're putting it together?
So quick fire, 2 pages as a golden rule. How long should they go back? Their complete career history. What should they focus on? The last, depending on the individual, 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And you should be able to fit all of your good meaty content in that across, call it a page and a half. And then you can really concisely put the last 15 years, and it could just be date, company, role.
Yeah.
Alex has sent a question in.
Yeah.
Other than Paddy,
Yeah.
what's the worst thing about recruitment?
The worst thing about recruitment. So for me, the worst thing about recruitment is still to this day, and it's something I don't know if I'll ever get rid of it, is letting someone down who really wants a job after like second or third stage. And the more stages they've had, the worse that feels. I still to this day sit there waiting to, like, with their number on my phone, like finger hovering, going, I just don't really want to make this call. But you need to call them because they need the feedback. But normally it's kind of like fairly minimal. It's rare that someone's really messed it up and they have massive improvement. So it kind of comes down to they liked someone better than you, which when someone really loved the opportunity and the people and the job and they were all in for it, it's horrible breaking their heart.
And that's all we got time for today. But thank you all so much for listening. Dale, thank you for coming on.
Cheers, George.
And if you haven't done already, please hit the like button, the bell, follow, subscribe, share it with your friends, and we'll see you again next time.